The security camera would later show Grace Sullivan entering First National Bank at exactly 9:47 a.m. Her left shoe leaving wet prints on the marble floor, rain seeping through the hole where canvas met sole. What the camera wouldn't show was her hand trembling as she gripped the manila envelope, or the way she'd stood outside for 20 minutes, watching her reflection in the glass doors, practicing the words she'd waited 15 years to say. Nathan Hayes was signing foreclosure documents when his secretary interrupted. "Mr. Hayes, there's a woman here. Says she has something from your father." The pen stopped moving. Nathan's jaw tightened, that familiar rage rising in his throat. 3 months since Thomas Hayes's funeral. 3 months of lawyers, creditors, and vultures picking at the corpse of his father's estate. Now this. "Tell her to leave. She said you'd say that." His secretary hesitated. "She said to tell you about room 314. The room tilted. Nathan's vision narrowed to a pinpoint. Room 314. The number his father had whispered over and over in his final days. Lost in morphine dreams. The number Nathan had found scrawled on receipts. Napkins. Even steamed into the bathroom mirror one morning. Room 314. The obsession that had consumed Thomas Hayes's last month of life. Send her in. Grace Sullivan didn't look like a con artist. Con artists wore suits, smiled too much, made eye contact. This woman stood in his doorway wearing a coat held together with mismatched thread, her gray hair escaping from a bun that had given up somewhere between the hospital and here. She smelled like disinfectant and exhaustion. "Mr. Hayes." Her voice carried the weight of night shifts, of holding hands in the dark, of promises made to dying men. "I'm Grace Sullivan. I knew your father. Everyone knew my father. He ran this bank for 30 years. I knew him before that, when he was Walter Blake." Nathan's blood turned to ice water. Walter Blake was a ghost story, a name that appeared in no records, no documents, no history. The only place Nathan had ever seen it was in his father's safe, a single photograph of a young man in a janitor's uniform. Walter Blake, 1983, written on the back in fading ink. "Who are you?" Grace set the manila envelope on his desk with the reverence of someone placing flowers on a grave. "I'm the woman who held your father's hand when he died the first time. October 15th, 1983. Room 314 at St. Mary's Hospital. The night Walter Blake ceased to exist and Thomas Hayes was born." Nathan's hands shook as he opened the envelope. Inside, a death certificate. Walter Blake, age 23, died October 15th, 1983. Cause of death, cardiac arrest. Attending physician, Dr. Marcus Chen. Witness, Grace Sullivan, RN. But his father had been very much alive in 1983. Nathan had photos, documents, proof. Thomas Hayes had been running board meetings, signing contracts, building the empire that would later crumble. "This is impossible. Your father was pronounced dead for 6 minutes. When he came back, he wasn't the same person. Literally. Walter Blake stayed dead. Thomas Hayes, who'd conveniently died in a car accident in Detroit, the same week took his place. You're telling me my father stole a dead man's identity? I'm telling you your father was the dead man, the real Thomas Hayes, the one whose identity he took, was Douglas Mills' son." Nathan's phone buzzed. Douglas Mills, chairman of the board, the man currently orchestrating the hostile takeover of everything Thomas Hayes had built, the man who'd smiled at the funeral and whispered, "Your father had so many secrets. Shame if they died with him." Grace continued, her voice steady as a heart monitor. "Douglas killed his own son in that car accident. It wasn't intentional drunk driving, but Thomas Hayes died instantly. Douglas needed a replacement. Your father, Walter Blake, was a janitor at the bank. Same age, same height, no family. Douglas made him an offer: die as Walter, live as Thomas, inherit an empire. Why would my father agree to that? Because Douglas knew something about Walter that would have destroyed him. Something about 237 people. There it was again. 237. The number that appeared in his father's final documents. 237 signatures on papers Nathan couldn't understand. 237 transfers to accounts that didn't exist. 237 reasons Thomas Hayes couldn't sleep. Grace pulled out a small notebook, its pages yellow with age. Your father wasn't the only one keeping records. Every person who died in room 314 over the last 40 years, I wrote them down. Their names, their last words, their secrets. She opened it to a page covered in careful handwriting. 237 of them knew your father. 237 of them knew what Douglas Mills really did. Nathan scanned the names. Some he recognized: former bank employees, city officials, people who'd disappeared or died mysteriously over the decades. Others were strangers, but beside each name was a date, a time, and a single word: promised. Promised what? To keep quiet until the right moment. Your father made them all promise. Said when the time came, their families would be taken care of, that someone would make it right. And you think that someone is me? Grace stood, her worn shoes silent on the thick carpet. Room 314 at St. Mary's. There's someone there now. Someone who's been waiting to tell their part of the story. Margaret Chen. Dr. Marcus Chen's widow. She has 40 minutes left, maybe less. You want me to go watch someone die? I want you to go hear the truth about why your father's real name appears on his own death certificate. Nathan grabbed his coat, his mind racing. How do I know this isn't some elaborate con? Grace was already at the door. Because Douglas Mills called the hospital 6 times this morning, trying to get Margaret Chen moved to a different room. Because he's had men watching room 314 for 3 days. Because... She turned, and Nathan saw decades of secrets in her eyes. Because your father left something in that room, something Douglas has been looking for since 1983. What? The real Thomas Hayes's body was never found after the accident. Your father knew where Douglas hid it. She pulled a key from her pocket, placed it on his desk. Hospital basement, storage unit 237. Margaret will tell you the rest, but only if you get there before Douglas does. Nathan's phone exploded with texts. His secretary. Mr. Mills is here with 6 lawyers. Says it's urgent. Grace was already in the hallway. You have to choose, Mr. Hayes, the comfortable lie or the uncomfortable truth, but choose fast. Margaret's heart is failing, and once she's gone, the only evidence dies with her. Nathan looked at the key. Storage unit 237. In the basement of the hospital, where his father had died and been reborn. Where 237 people had breathed their last breaths, holding on to pieces of a puzzle that was finally coming together. His phone rang. Douglas Mills. Nathan declined the call, pocketed the key, and ran for the elevator. Leaving behind the death certificate that proved his father had been living as a ghost for 40 years. What he didn't notice, what the security camera would later focus on, was the second document that had slipped from the envelope. A DNA test report dated October 14th, 1983, the day before Walter Blake died. The results showed that Walter Blake and Thomas Hayes weren't just the same height and age. They were brothers. Before we continue, please leave a like and subscribe. Let me know which city you're watching from. Now, let's get back to the story. Nathan's Lexus fishtailed on the wet hospital ramp. The parking garage smelled of motor oil and decay. 3rd level. His dress shoes slipped on concrete slick with something that wasn't water. St. Mary's Hospital loomed gray against grayer sky. The automatic doors stuttered open. Lysol and floor wax hit his sinuses. The reception desk sat empty. A maintenance cart blocked the hallway, mop handle jutting out like a broken bone. Nathan's phone vibrated. Douglas Mills. Again. He killed the power. The elevator to the third floor was taped off. Nathan took the stairs, 2 at a time. His lungs burned. 15 years of boardrooms and bourbon had made him soft. The stairwell echoed his breathing, his footsteps, and something else. Other footsteps. 1 flight below. 3rd floor. The hallway stretched ahead, fluorescent lights flickering. Room 310, 311, 312. Room 314's door was cracked open. Nathan could hear the ventilator's rhythm, mechanical breathing. He pushed inside. Margaret Chen looked like crumpled paper against white sheets. Her eyes tracked to him alert. Urgent. The ventilator tube prevented speech. Her hand, spotted with age and IV bruises, pointed to the nightstand. A cassette recorder. Ancient. The kind Nathan hadn't seen since the 90s. Margaret's finger moved to the play button. Pressed down. Static. Then his father's voice. Younger. Terrified. October 14th, 1983. This is Walter Blake. If you're hearing this, Douglas Mills has probably killed me. Nathan's knees buckled. He grabbed the bed rail. I found Thomas Hayes's body in the bank's foundation. Douglas was pouring concrete when I walked in. He offered me a deal. Take Thomas's identity or join him in the cement. But I knew something Douglas didn't. Thomas Hayes was my half-brother. Same mother. Different fathers. She gave him up for adoption. The Mills family adopted him. The footsteps in the stairwell were getting closer. Margaret's eyes widened. She pointed to the recorder, then to her chest. Nathan leaned close. She whispered around the ventilator tube. Words mangled but clear enough. Copy. More copies. Douglas. Killed Marcus. Destroyed others. The recording continued. I hid Thomas's real body, moved it before Douglas could finish. It's in. The door slammed open. 2 men in hospital scrubs, but their shoes were wrong. Dress shoes. Security badges that didn't match St. Mary's standard. Margaret's monitor flatlined, but her eyes were still open, still moving, still alive. She'd pulled her own EKG leads off, playing dead. The taller man's hand moved inside his scrub pocket. Metal caught fluorescent light. Not a gun. A syringe. Nathan's fingers closed around the cassette recorder. The weight felt wrong, too heavy. Margaret's eyes tracked between him and the men. Her chest rose and fell in controlled breaths while the flatline tone screamed. Code Blue, the shorter man said. His voice was flat, rehearsed. We need to clear the room. No one came running. No crash cart. No real medical response. The alarm just kept screaming. Nathan backed toward the window. The recorder pressed against his ribs. Where's the medical team? Sir, you need to leave. The taller man stepped forward. His dress shoes squeaked on linoleum. A Rolex glinted under the surgical glove. Margaret's hand shot out, grabbed the IV pole. The bag of saline swung in an arc, caught the shorter man in the temple. He stumbled. The syringe clattered across the floor. Nathan moved, not thinking. His shoulder connected with the taller man's solar plexus. They hit the privacy curtain together. The metal track shrieked, tore free from the ceiling. White fabric tangled around their legs. The shorter man was reaching for the syringe. Margaret rolled sideways, her weight pulling the ventilator with her. The machine toppled. The tube ripped free from her throat. She gasped. Blood flecked her lips. Storage! Her voice was shredded. Now! The taller man's elbow caught Nathan's jaw. Copper flooded his mouth. The recorder flew from his grip, skittered under the bed. Footsteps in the hallway. Real nurses this time. The 2 men exchanged looks. The shorter one pocketed the syringe. They pushed past the arriving medical team. What happened? A nurse rushed to Margaret. She pulled her leads. Nathan spat blood. Those men. What men? The hallway was empty. Nathan crawled under the bed, retrieved the recorder. The cassette door hung open. Empty. The tape was gone. Margaret was fighting the nurses trying to re-intubate her. Her eyes locked on Nathan. She mouthed a single word, basement. Nathan ran. The stairwell door slammed behind him. Down. His heels skidded on worn rubber treading. Second floor. First floor. A door marked authorized personnel only. The key Grace had given him was slick with sweat in his palm. The basement corridor stretched ahead. Exposed pipes sweated condensation. A single bulb every 20 feet created pools of shadow. The air tasted of rust and mold. Storage units lined both walls. 224, 225, 226. Nathan's phone buzzed with texts even though he'd powered it off. The screen showed impossible messages. From his father's disconnected number. Wrong key. Douglas knows. Trust Grace. His hands shook. Hallucination. Stress. The blow to his head. Storage unit 237 was different. Newer lock. Fresh scratches around the keyhole. Someone had tried to break in recently. The key turned. The lock clicked. Inside medical equipment from the 80s. An EKG machine. Defibrillator paddles. And behind them, a military footlocker with W. Blake stenciled on the side. Nathan dragged it into the light. The latches were rusted, but gave way. Inside, wrapped in plastic bones. Human bones. A rib cage. A skull with a spiderweb fracture above the left eye socket. Under the bones, a stack of papers. Bank statements. 237 accounts. Each opened between 1983 and 2024. Each with regular deposits. Nathan recognized the routing numbers all from First National, but from departments that didn't exist. Ghost departments his father had created. A letter was taped to the inside lid. His father's handwriting. Nathan, if you're reading this, Grace kept her promise. The bones belong to Thomas Hayes, my brother, Douglas Mills's adopted son. The DNA test will prove it. Douglas killed him in a drunk driving accident October 13th, 1983. He was going to bury the body. Claimed Thomas ran away. But I saw him. Douglas offered me everything Thomas's life. His name, his inheritance if I helped cover it up. I took the deal. But I also took the body. Hid it here. Evidence. The 237 accounts belong to the families of everyone Douglas destroyed over 40 years. Every whistleblower who disappeared. Every competitor who had accidents. Every honest cop who got too close. I documented everything. Every murder. Every bribe. Every body. But here's what Douglas never knew: I wasn't Walter Blake either. Check Margaret Chen's medical files. The real Walter Blake died at age 3. Drowning accident. I took his name when I aged out of foster care. Needed an identity to get work. My real name is Nathan Walsh. Grace Sullivan named me. She was 17. Gave me up for adoption. The foster system lost track of me. She found me again when I was 23, working as a janitor at the bank. She never told me she was my mother. Just watched. Made sure I was okay. You're not my biological son. You're the son of Christina Hayes Thomas's widow. She died in childbirth. Douglas was going to take you, raise you as his grandson. I couldn't let that happen. So I became Thomas Hayes and raised you as mine. Grace has been protecting us both for 40 years. She's hidden the evidence of every crime Douglas committed. Each person who died in room 314 knew pieces of the truth. They were supposed to take it to their graves. But Grace recorded everything. Every confession. Every name. The cassette tape from Margaret's recorder that was theater. The real recordings are in Grace's apartment. 237 cassette tapes. 237 voices. 237 pieces of evidence that will destroy Douglas Mills. But Nathan, here's what matters. Douglas is coming for you now. Right now. He knows you're in this basement. The men in the hospital scrubs were just to scare you down here. The real threat is already inside. Look behind you. Nathan's spine locked. The storage unit door had been open when he entered. It was closed now. Breathing in the darkness behind him. Not his own. The overhead bulb flickered. In the strobe of dying light, Nathan saw a figure standing 3 feet away. Dress shoes. Expensive suit. But the face was wrong. Too young to be Douglas Mills. "Hello, Paul, brother," the man said. Thomas Hayes Jr. stepped into the light. The son everyone thought had died in Iraq 8 years ago. Nathan's adopted brother, very much alive, pointing a Glock 19 at Nathan's chest. "Douglas sent you." Nathan's voice cracked. "Douglas is dead. Has been for 3 hours. Heart attack in his office right after you left the bank." Thomas's finger moved to the trigger. "I killed him, just like I killed our father. That hospice death was morphine, not cancer." The bones in the footlocker seemed to gleam. The skull's empty sockets stared at nothing. "Why? Because I'm the real Thomas Hayes Jr., the biological grandson Douglas always wanted. Christina Hayes was pregnant when the first Thomas died. Douglas arranged everything. The fake death in Iraq. The new identity. I've been waiting 8 years for this moment. Grace Sullivan is already dead. I stopped by her apartment after the hospital. She had a heart condition. Amazing what the right injection can do." Nathan's chest hollowed out. The cassette tapes. The evidence. All gone. Thomas smiled. "But here's the beautiful part. You're going to commit suicide. Guilt over your father's crimes. You'll confess to everything in a note. The murders. The fraud. All of it. And I'll emerge from hiding. The war hero son. To save the bank and restore the family name." The Glock's barrel looked like a tunnel. Nathan could see rifling spiral into darkness. "There's just one problem," Nathan said. Thomas's smile flickered. "What, Luna?" Thomas turned. The basement door exploded inward. Not police, not security, a 12-year-old husky, moving faster than any dog that age should move. Luna's teeth found Thomas's wrist. The Glock fired. Concrete chips stung Nathan's face. The gun spun across the floor. Thomas screamed. Luna didn't let go. Behind the dog, a small figure in a hospital gown. Eleanor Chen, 8 years old, holding an iPhone, recording everything. "Grace isn't dead," Eleanor said. Her voice was steady for a child with leukemia. "She's upstairs with the FBI. She told me to follow you. Said Luna would know when to act." Thomas tried to pull free. Luna's jaw locked tighter. Blood soaked through his suit sleeve. Eleanor kept recording. "Grace also said to tell you something. Mr. Nathan. She said you're looking in the wrong footlocker." Nathan turned. There was another military case behind the medical equipment. This one marked N. Walsh. His real name, his original name, inside, wrapped in a yellow hospital blanket, was something that made Nathan's knees give out. A birth certificate. Nathan Walsh, born October 15th, 1983. Mother Grace Sullivan. Father Douglas Mills. The same day Walter Blake died and was reborn as Thomas Hayes. Nathan's hands shook as he lifted the paper. Under it, a photo. Grace, 17 years old, holding a newborn. Douglas Mills beside her, signing adoption papers. A note in Grace's handwriting. "He raped me. I was 16. He made me give you up. But I found you. I always find you." Thomas had stopped struggling. Luna still held his wrist, Blood pooled on concrete. Eleanor's phone captured everything. "There's more." Grace said, "Check the date on your adoption papers." Nathan found them, October 15th, 1983. Signed by Walter Blake. Not Thomas Hayes. Walter Blake. The man who'd raised him had adopted him before he died. Before he became Thomas Hayes. He'd known all along who Nathan really was. Douglas Mills's biological son. Thomas Hayes Jr. started laughing. The sound echoed off concrete walls. "You don't get it, do you? We're brothers. Real brothers. Both Douglas's sons." Sirens outside. Getting closer. But there was something else in the footlocker. A USB drive taped to a medical file. Nathan grabbed it. The label read, "Security footage, First National Bank, October 13th, 1983, 11:47 p.m. The night Thomas Hayes really died." Eleanor stepped closer, still recording. "Grace said to ask you something." "Mr. Thomas?" Thomas's laughter stopped. "She said to ask if you know what really happened to your mother in Iraq." Thomas's face drained white. His trapped wrist twisted in Luna's jaw. The dog's teeth went deeper. "My mother died in an IED attack." His voice cracked. "Kandahar, 2016. Eleanor's phone stayed steady. Grace said Christina Hayes never went to Iraq. She died in 1989. Ovarian cancer. St. Mary's Hospital. Room 314. The basement fluorescent buzzed. Died. Buzzed again. "That's impossible. I have photos. Grace has the death certificate." Eleanor stepped closer. Her hospital gown hung loose on chemotherapy-thin shoulders. "Your real mother was Jennifer Mills, Douglas's second wife, the one who disappeared in 1995. Nathan's fingers found the USB drive. The plastic was warm, body temperature. His father must have held it often. Thomas stopped struggling. Luna's grip loosened but didn't release. Blood dripped steady on concrete. 1 drop, 2 drops, 3. "Jennifer Mills killed herself," Thomas said. "Depression. Douglas told me. Douglas killed her." Grace's voice came from the doorway. "Not dead. Moving slow, but moving." FBI agents flanked her, weapons drawn. "She found out about the basement of the bank, what's really under the vault." Nathan stood. His legs shook. "You said you were dying." Grace smiled. Her worn shoes scraped concrete as she approached. "Thomas gave me enough morphine to kill someone half my age, but I've been building immunity for 40 years. Every night shift, a little more. Microdosing, waiting for someone to try." The FBI agents moved past her. One grabbed Thomas's free arm. Luna released her bite, backed away, tail low, eyes locked on Thomas. "Clear the room," the lead agent said. "This is a crime scene." "Wait." Nathan held up the USB. "The security footage." Grace took it from his hand, pocketed it. "That can wait." "Wait for what?" She pulled out her phone, showed him the time, 4:23 p.m. "In 17 hours, at 9:40 a.m. First National Bank will undergo its federal audit. The auditors will need access to the vault. The real vault. The one your father, Walter, Thomas, whatever name you choose, discovered in 1983. Thomas laughed. Blood ran down his fingers. "There's nothing there. Just safety deposit boxes." "No." Grace turned to Eleanor. "Tell them what you found." Eleanor lowered her phone. "I went exploring 3 nights ago. When Mom was in surgery, the hospital basement connects to the old pneumatic tube system, from when St. Mary's was St. Mary's Sanatorium, for tuberculosis patients, 1897. Nathan's throat tightened. "What does that have to do with—" "The tubes run under the whole city, including the bank." Eleanor pulled out a folded paper. Hand-drawn map, crayon and pencil. "I followed them, found the vault, the real one, under the fake one." Grace took the map. Douglas Mills didn't just kill witnesses. He collected them. 37 bodies, perfectly preserved, formaldehyde. He turned the old Prohibition tunnels into a morgue. The FBI agent's radio crackled. "We're in position at the bank, waiting for confirmation." Thomas's face had gone gray. "You're lying." "Am I?" Grace pulled out a cassette player, ancient, the same model from Margaret Chen's room. She pressed play. Douglas Mills's voice, younger, drunk, had to be done. The Walsh girl knew too much. Pretty thing, 16. Shame about the baby. But Walter Blake took care of that. Good janitor. Knows how to clean up messes. Nathan's stomach turned to acid. "He's talking about me." Grace stopped the tape. "Douglas recorded everything. Kept trophies. Your father found them. That's why Douglas needed him dead. But Walter Blake was smarter than Douglas knew." She pulled out the notebook, the one with 237 names, opened it. But the pages weren't filled with names of the dead. They were account numbers, each one corresponding to a victim's family, each one funded by money Walter Blake had siphoned from Douglas Mills's personal accounts over 40 years. "Your father didn't steal," Grace said. "He redistributed. Every family Douglas destroyed got restitution, anonymous deposits, college funds, medical bills, mortgages paid off. That's wire fraud," the FBI agent said. "Multiple felonies, from accounts that don't legally exist. Douglas Mills's Cayman Island holdings, his Swiss-numbered accounts. All the dark money from 40 years of murder." Grace smiled. "Your father didn't just steal from Douglas. He stole from Douglas's clients, arms dealers, human traffickers, drug cartels." Nathan's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He declined it. It rang again immediately. "Answer it," Grace said. Nathan pressed accept. Speakerphone. "Mr. Hayes." The voice was electronic, distorted. "This is a courtesy call. You have something that belongs to us." "Who is this?" "The people your father stole from. We want our money back. All 237 accounts. You have 6 hours. I don't know what room 314. There's someone waiting for you. Come alone, or she dies." The line went dead. Grace's face went pale. "Eleanor, who's in room 314? Eleanor checked her phone. The hospital patient database. Chen. Margaret. But she was discharged. Her face changed. "Oh no. What? The system shows a new admission. 30 minutes ago." Eleanor's hands shook. "Sullivan. Amy. Age 24. Grace grabbed the wall. "I don't have a daughter. I don't have DNA match in the system." Eleanor kept reading. "Biological match to Grace Sullivan. Probability of maternity." The basement walls seemed to contract. Nathan couldn't breathe. Grace's voice came out strangled. "The baby didn't die. Douglas told me the baby died." Thomas started laughing again, hysterical, blood bubbles on his lips. "You don't know? Do you? None of you know the best part?" The FBI agents pulled him toward the door. He kept talking. "Check Walter Blake's medical records. From before 1983. Check his blood type." Nathan was already pulling up his phone. Hospital database. His father's records. Blood type AB negative. Nathan's blood type O positive. Biologically impossible. "Your father couldn't have children," Thomas called out as they dragged him away. "Radiation exposure, childhood cancer treatment. He was sterile." Grace's legs gave out. Nathan caught her. "If Walter Blake wasn't my biological father—" "Check the basement!" Thomas screamed from the hallway. "Check the other footlocker. The one marked Baby Doe, October 15th, 1983. Nathan saw it. Hidden behind old gurneys, smaller than the others, child-sized. His hands shook as he opened it. Inside, a hospital bracelet. Newborn. No name. Just a number 237. Under it, adoption papers. Not Walter Blake's signature. Margaret Chen's. The woman in room 314. The woman who'd just been readmitted. The woman who'd flatlined while Nathan watched. At the bottom of the papers, a note. This child is the son of Douglas Mills and Jennifer Mills. Born October 15th, 1983. Mother was 13 years old. Nathan's vision tunneled. Jennifer Mills, who Douglas married in 1982, who disappeared in 1995, who would have been 13 in 1983. Douglas Mills had impregnated his own 12-year-old wife. That's why she killed herself, Grace whispered, when she found out Douglas was her biological father, too. The FBI agent's radio crackled again. We found something in the bank vault. You need to see this. Now. Grace struggled to her feet. We have to get to room 314. The cartel? There is no cartel. That call was Douglas's lawyer. Estate threats. She grabbed Nathan's arm. But Amy Sullivan is real, and she's in danger. They ran for the stairs. Luna followed, leaving bloody paw prints on concrete. Nathan's phone lit up with a text, from his dead father's number again. Check your pocket. He reached inside his jacket, felt paper, a birth certificate he hadn't put there. Amy Sullivan, born March 3rd, 2000. Mother Grace Sullivan, father Nathan Hayes, his father, Thomas Hayes, who was supposedly sterile. The dates were impossible. Nathan would have been 11 years old, unless the stairwell door slammed shut behind them. The lock engaged. Electronic lock. The kind that could be controlled remotely. Through the small window, Nathan saw men in tactical gear flooding the hospital corridor. Not FBI. Their vests read, Private Security, Mills Estate. Grace grabbed his hand. There's another way. The pneumatic tubes. Eleanor's map. But Eleanor was gone. Her map was gone. Only Luna remained, growling at the locked door. From somewhere above, a fire alarm started screaming. Smoke seeped under the stairwell door. Not gray smoke. White. Chemical. Nathan's lungs seized. Tear gas. Grace pulled her shirt over her nose, pointed down. The basement access was still open. They descended. Luna wheezed behind them. The dog's eyes streamed tears. Back in the storage corridor, Grace ran to a ventilation grate. Her fingers found the screws, painted over, frozen. Nathan grabbed a defibrillator paddle from the medical equipment, wedged it behind the grate. Metal bent. Screws popped. The grate clattered to concrete. Behind it, a tunnel, 3 feet wide. Pneumatic tube rails ran along the bottom. Eleanor showed me this. Grace crawled inside. Connects to the bank, then back to the hospital. Different wing. Nathan followed. His shoulders scraped both walls. Luna pressed against his legs. The tunnel smelled of rust and rat droppings. Something skittered ahead in darkness. 20 feet. 30. Nathan's phone flashlight carved a white circle in black. The rails curved left. Grace stopped, pressed her ear to the tunnel wall. Listen. Vibrations. Footsteps above. Multiple sets. Running. They kept crawling. Nathan's palms split on broken glass. Old pneumatic capsules, shattered decades ago. Blood made his grip slick. A junction. 3 tunnels branched off. Which way? Grace pulled out her notebook, the one with 237 names. But she flipped past those pages. In the back, Eleanor's map, photographed on her phone before the girl vanished. Right tunnel, leads under the bank vault. They turned. The tunnel widened. Nathan could almost stand. His spine scraped the ceiling. Light ahead. Not daylight. Artificial. Flickering. They emerged in a mechanical room. Boilers. Water heaters. Pipes labeled with faded tags, First National Bank, Sublevel 2. Grace grabbed his arm. Listen. Voices. Above them. Multiple men. Radio chatter. Sweep complete. No sign of Hayes or Sullivan. Check the morgue level. Mills Jr. wants them alive. Mills Jr. Not Thomas. Someone else. Grace's face went white. There's another son. Nathan's phone buzzed. The impossible text thread from his father's number. Look at Amy's birth certificate again. Nathan pulled out the paper. Amy Sullivan, born March 3rd, 2000. But the hospital stamp was wrong. Not St. Mary's. Millbrook Psychiatric. Grace. Nathan held up the certificate. Amy was born in a mental hospital. Grace's hand covered her mouth. No. No, no, no. You knew. I thought she died. The baby. Douglas said stillborn. But if she was born at Millbrook... Grace's voice broke. That's where they sent Jennifer Mills, after they found her with Nathan. Said she was delusional, claiming Douglas was her father. Nathan's chest tightened. Jennifer was pregnant when they institutionalized her. Douglas's baby. His daughter-wife's baby. Grace grabbed the wall. Amy isn't my daughter. She's Jennifer's. Born in the asylum. Nathan checked the dates again. Jennifer Mills institutionalized November 1999. Amy born March 2000. Then who put my name as the father? Grace's eyes went wide. Check the doctor's signature. Nathan squinted at the faded ink. Dr. Marcus Chen. Margaret Chen's husband. The man who'd pronounced Walter Blake dead in 1983. Marcus delivered Amy in secret, Grace whispered. Hid her from Douglas. But why put your name? Nathan's phone lit up. Another text. Because Nathan Hayes was 11 years old, no one would investigate an impossible father. The boiler room door opened. Not private security. Eleanor Chen walked in. But wrong. Different. The 8-year-old's eyes were cold. Adult. Hello. Uncle Nathan. Her voice had dropped an octave. Behind Eleanor, another figure. Wheelchair-bound. Oxygen tank. Margaret Chen. But her eyes were clear. Sharp. Not dying. You're not sick, Nathan said. Terminal cancer. Stage 4. 3 weeks to live. Margaret smiled. All true. But morphine is remarkable. Keeps me functional. For what needs to be done? Eleanor, or whatever was wearing Eleanor's face, stepped forward. I'm not really 8. Progeria, genetic condition, ages you backward in appearance. I'm 24. Nathan's legs wouldn't hold him. You're Amy Sullivan. Amy Mills. Never took the Sullivan name. She pulled out a gun. Small. .22 caliber. Grandpa Douglas visited me every week at Millbrook. Told me everything. Trained me. Said I was special. The pure bloodline. Grace made a sound like breaking glass. Douglas and Jennifer. Jennifer and Douglas. The same blood twice. Genetic perfection, Amy said. Or genetic disaster, depending on perspective. The progeria is just one gift. There are others. Perfect memory, accelerated healing. And this, she held up her phone. Showed the text thread. Nathan's father's number. Voice synthesis. I've been texting you all day. Leading you here. Why? Margaret Chen wheeled forward. Because Douglas promised, when he died, everything would go to his true heir, the pure blood. But he didn't know about Thomas Jr., the war hero, the backup plan. So you killed Douglas. Insulin overdose. Untraceable. Amy's child face smiled with adult satisfaction. But Thomas complicated things. We needed him removed. And you were perfect. The righteous son. Searching for truth. Luna growled. Low. Primal. Amy pointed the gun at the dog. Eleanor Chen died 6 years ago. Real leukemia. I took her place. Margaret's granddaughter. No one questions a sick child. The FBI, gone or called off. False alarm at the bank. Thomas Jr. is in custody for attempted murder. You're free to go. Amy stepped closer. Except you know too much now. The gun swung toward Grace. Here's what happens. Murder-suicide. Grace Sullivan, the bitter nurse, kills Douglas Mills' bastard son, then herself, leaves a confession about the 237 accounts. The money gets recovered, returned to its rightful owner. The cartels, me. It was always mine. Grandpa Douglas set it up. Offshore holdings in my name since birth. Nathan's phone buzzed. Real text this time. From the FBI agent. We found the bodies in the vault. 37. But there's something else. Something alive down there. Amy's smile flickered. Impossible. I checked yesterday. A sound from the tunnel. Metal on metal. The pneumatic rails singing. Someone was coming. Margaret Chen's eyes went wide. You said the basement was clear. It was. The singing got louder. Closer. Luna's tail went up. Not aggressive. Excited. A figure emerged from the tunnel. Walter Blake. Nathan's father. But 30 years younger. Wearing a janitor's uniform from 1983. No. Not Walter Blake. The man's eyes were different. One brown, one blue. Heterochromia. Hello, sis, he said to Amy. Amy's gun shook. You're dead. You died at birth. Douglas told you that. The man laughed. Douglas told everyone that. Baby boy Mills, Jennifer's first child, born 1995, died 1995. He stepped into the light. But Marcus Chen had different ideas. Margaret's wheelchair rolled backward. Jonathan. Hi, Mom. The man who looked exactly like young Walter Blake smiled. Though, technically, you're my adoptive mom. Jennifer Mills was my biological mother. Douglas was my father and grandfather. The gun in Amy's hand wavered between targets. Douglas didn't know Jennifer had twins. Jonathan continued. You were born at Millbrook. I was born in Marcus Chen's car on the way there. He hid me, raised me, told me everything when I turned 18. That's impossible. I would have known. You were 3 months old when they separated us, and I've been living in the tunnels under the bank for 15 years, watching, waiting, learning. He pulled out a cassette player. Did you know Douglas recorded everything? Even his visits to you at Millbrook. He pressed play. Douglas's voice, Amy is the only one who matters. The boy died, had to die. Genetic dead end. The girl, though, she's perfect. My perfect creation. When she's old enough, we'll make more. Keep the line pure. Amy's face crumbled. He said he loved me. He loved the idea of you. Jonathan stepped forward. But here's what you don't know. The 237 accounts, they're not offshore holdings. They're trust funds. For the children. What children? Douglas's other experiments. 30 years of forced pregnancies. Institutionalized women. Hidden births. Jonathan pulled out a ledger. 237 children, all with varying degrees of genetic anomalies. Some, like us, functional. Others weren't so lucky. Grace grabbed Nathan's arm. Her nails dug through his shirt. You're saying there are 237 people like you, not like me. I'm the only one who got the complete package. Heterochromia, eidetic memory, accelerated healing, reversed aging. I'm 53 years old. I look 25. Nathan's phone buzzed again. FBI. The things in the vault are moving. Jonathan smiled. Oh yes. About that. They're not dead bodies. Douglas's formaldehyde solution wasn't for preservation. It was for hibernation. The failed experiments. The ones too damaged to release but too valuable to kill. Margaret Chen's oxygen tank hissed. You woke them up. No. Amy did. When she killed Douglas, he held up a device, medical monitor, showing 37 heartbeats. The solution was tied to his pacemaker. When his heart stopped, the system started reversing. They've been warming up for 3 hours. Amy's gun swung toward Jonathan. I'll kill you. With a .22, I've been shot 16 times, stabbed 12, drowned twice. I always heal. He pulled open his janitor uniform, showed a chest covered in scars. Douglas tested the limits extensively. A crash from above. The ceiling shook. Dust fell. That would be Subject 7, Jonathan said. She was 8 when Douglas put her under. Bone density of granite. Probably just punched through the vault floor. Amy backed toward the door. Margaret, we're leaving. Margaret didn't move. I'm dying anyway. 3 weeks, maybe less. She looked at Jonathan. You're really my son. Marcus was my father in every way that mattered. But yes, you raised me until I was 7. Then Douglas found out. That's when I went into the tunnels. I thought you died. Marcus said the surgery failed. He lied to protect me. Nathan's legs shook. So who am I really? Jonathan turned. His mismatched eyes studied Nathan. You're exactly who Grace said. Douglas's son. But not with Jennifer Mills. He pulled out another birth certificate. Your mother was Rebecca Walsh, Grace's sister. The room tilted. Grace's voice came out strangled. Rebecca died in childbirth. Rebecca died because Douglas killed her. She was going to expose him. But the baby survived. Jonathan handed Nathan the certificate. You, October 15th, 1983. The same day Walter Blake died and was reborn. So Walter knew. Walter saved you. Took you from Douglas. Raised you as his own. Jonathan smiled. The janitor stole the prince and made him human. Another crash. Closer. The lights flickered. Amy pressed against the door. They'll kill us all. No. They'll kill Douglas's bloodline. They can smell it. Genetic markers in pheromones. Jonathan pulled out a syringe. Unless you take this, what is it? Gene therapy. Marcus developed it. Masks the Mills genetic signature. He looked at Nathan. You need it most. Pure Mills blood. First generation. Nathan grabbed the syringe. The liquid inside was black. Side effects. You'll age normally. Lose any genetic advantages. Become fully human. Another crash. The door buckled. Something was trying to get in. Something that had been sleeping in formaldehyde for decades. Luna backed against Nathan's legs. The dog's whole body shook. Amy raised her gun. I won't take it. I won't be normal. Then you'll die special. Jonathan pulled out a second syringe. Grace, you're Rebecca's sister. Close enough genetics to trigger them. Grace took the syringe, jabbed it into her arm without hesitation. Nathan held his. The black liquid swirled. 10 seconds, Jonathan said. Then Subject 7 comes through that door. The metal screamed, bent inward. Fingers appeared in the gap. Not normal fingers. Too long. Too many joints. Human. But wrong. Nathan pushed the needle into his vein. Black ice through Nathan's veins. The injection site burned. His vision split 2 images overlapping. Then 4. Then 8. The door bent inward another inch. Those fingers curled around metal. Pulled. Nathan's knees hit concrete. Liquid copper in his mouth. He'd bitten through his tongue. The door tore free. Subject 7 stood in the doorway. 6 feet tall. Female. Maybe. Hard to tell. Her skin was translucent. Nathan could see her organs working heart-hammering, lungs expanding, intestines coiling. Her eyes were all pupil. No iris. Just black circles that reflected nothing. She moved wrong. Joints bending backward. Covering 10 feet in a motion that wasn't quite a step. Amy fired. The .22 popped. The bullet entered Seven's chest. Nathan watched it travel through transparent skin, lodge between ribs. Seven didn't flinch. Jonathan stepped forward. "Emily, that's your name. Emily Foster." Seven's head tilted. 90 degrees. The vertebrae in her neck clicked like typewriter keys. "You were 8, Jonathan continued. "Born 1986. Your mother was patient 47 at Millbrook. Douglas's 4th attempt at genetic manipulation." Seven's mouth opened. No teeth. Just rows of cartilage, sharp as broken glass. The sound that came out wasn't human, wasn't animal. Was something between. Amy backed against the wall, pressed the gun to her own temple. "I won't let them take me. They don't want you." Jonathan pulled something from his pocket. A vial. Red liquid. "They want this." He threw it down the tunnel. The glass shattered. The smell hit Nathan's sinuses, iron and formaldehyde, and something else. Something that made his primitive brain scream run. Seven's head snapped toward the tunnel. She moved that wrong motion again and disappeared into darkness. Footsteps above. Running. Multiple sets. More of them coming. Margaret's oxygen tank beeped. Low battery. She pulled the mask off. "The gene therapy. How long before it works?" 6 minutes for full genetic masking, Jonathan said. "But the immediate effects." Nathan vomited. Black liquid. The same color as the injection. His bones felt like they were melting. Grace crawled to him. Her own face was gray. Sweat soaked through her scrubs. "We need to move." Jonathan grabbed Nathan's arm. "The others will follow Seven for now. But when they realize it's synthetic," Amy laughed. Still had the gun to her head. "You're all going to die. Even with the therapy. They're too damaged to stop. Too hungry. Hungry." Grace wiped blood from her nose. The therapy was working too fast. 40 years of hibernation. Amy's finger tightened on the trigger. "They'll eat anything with Mills genetics. Even masked genetics. The therapy just makes you taste different, not inedible." Jonathan's face changed. "You knew. You knew what would happen when Douglas died." "I counted on it." Amy smiled with Eleanor Chen's stolen face. 237 accounts, 237 children, most of them normal, living normal lives, but carrying the Mills genetic marker. When the news breaks about the bodies in the vault, when those things escape, they'll hunt. Every single one. The families will die, all of them, leaving me as the sole heir to everything. Douglas's empire, the offshore accounts, all of it. Margaret rolled forward in her wheelchair. "You're insane." "I'm pure." Amy's eyes were fever bright. Grandpa Douglas explained it all. Genetic superiority requires sacrifice. The weak die so the strong survive. A scream from the tunnel. Human this time. Seven had found someone. The sound cut off wet. Nathan struggled to stand. The room wouldn't stop spinning. "The FBI. They'll stop them." The FBI thinks they're dealing with preserved corpses. By the time they realize the truth. Amy shrugged. Jonathan moved. Fast. His hand closed around Amy's wrist. Twisted. The gun fell. But Amy moved faster. Her child hand produced another syringe from her hospital gown. Jabbed it into Jonathan's neck. He dropped. Convulsing. Foam pink with blood bubbled from his mouth. "Concentrated Mills pheromone," Amy said. "He'll smell like a feast now." More sounds from the tunnel. Wet. Tearing. Luna pressed against Nathan's leg. The dog was shaking so hard her teeth chattered. Amy picked up her gun. "Here's what happens. You all die here. I leave through the hospital. Tragic survivor of a massacre. The brave little cancer patient who barely escaped. Eleanor's medical records show terminal leukemia, same as mine did at Millbrook." She backed toward a door Nathan hadn't noticed. Emergency exit. "No one questions a dying child." The door wouldn't open. Electronic lock. Amy pulled out Eleanor's hospital badge, swiped it. Nothing. Looking for this? Grace held up a keycard. Hospital security, master access. Took it from your pocket when you were gloating. Amy raised the gun. Grace threw the card down a drainage grate. It clattered into darkness. Now we all die together. Amy's face contorted, the child mask slipping. You stupid! The lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in. Red. The room looked like it was bleeding. In the tunnel. Footsteps. Multiple sets. Moving wrong. Joints clicking. They were coming back. Jonathan's convulsions stopped. He lay still. Too still. Nathan crawled to him, pressed fingers to his throat. Pulse. Weak, but there. The therapy, Jonathan whispered. Blood ran from his eyes. Didn't take it. Why? Someone has to lead them away. He struggled to sit. The pheromone she injected. They'll follow me. Hunt me. Give you time. You'll die. I've been dead since 1995. This is just making it official. He looked at Margaret. Tell Marcus I understood. Everything he did. All of it. Margaret reached for him, mother to son. Their fingers almost touched. Jonathan rolled into the tunnel. The wrong footsteps followed. Excited now. Prey identified. Amy screamed, raised the gun toward Grace. Nathan moved. The therapy had turned his muscles to water. But he moved. His shoulder caught Amy in the stomach. They hit the wall together. The gun fired. Concrete chips stung Nathan's face. Amy's knee found his solar plexus. He couldn't breathe. She was above him now. The gun swinging down. Luna's teeth found Amy's wrist. The same grip that had held Thomas Jr., but harder. Bone cracked. Amy screamed. The gun fell. Grace grabbed it, pointed it at Amy. No, Margaret's voice cut through everything. Let her live. She's a monster. She's a child. Twisted by Douglas, but still a child. Margaret wheeled closer. Amy, your real birthday. Do you know it? Amy cradled her broken wrist. March 3rd, 2000. March 3rd, 1999. Douglas changed it, made you younger on paper, so no one would do the math. Margaret pulled out a folder from under her wheelchair cushion. Jennifer Mills was 12 when she got pregnant, 13 when she gave birth. To twins, Amy's face went white. 1 year. He changed 1 year. You're 25, not 24. Old enough that the progeria should have killed you by now. But it hasn't, because Jonathan was giving you transfusions. His blood, while you slept. That's impossible. Check your medical files, the real ones. Marcus kept copies. Margaret opened the folder. Medical charts, blood work, DNA profiles. Jonathan's been keeping you alive for 15 years, sneaking into Millbrook, into the hospital, giving you his blood, the accelerated healing factor, just enough to slow the progeria. Amy's child face cracked. Real tears now. Why? Because you're his sister. Because he loved you, even knowing what you were. Margaret's own tears ran free. He saved the monster because he remembered the child. A crash from above. The ceiling cracked. Dust and debris rained down. Something massive was moving up there. Not 7. Bigger. Subject 1, Amy whispered. If he's awake. The ceiling exploded. A shape fell through, landed in a crouch that cracked concrete. Not human. Not anymore. 7 feet tall. 4 arms. The lower pair growing from where ribs should be. Its face was almost normal except for the mouth. Too wide. Opening sideways like an insect's mandible, it looked at Nathan. Those eyes were intelligent. Aware. Mills, it said. The word came out wet. Blood. Nathan pressed against the wall. The therapy wasn't complete. He still smelled like prey. The thing moved toward him. Grace stepped between them. raised Amy's gun. "Warren Hughes," she said. The creature stopped. "That's your name. Warren Hughes. You were 6 years old. Douglas took you in 1962. The mandible mouth clicked. "Warren." "Yes, was Warren. Your mother was Patricia Hughes. She searched for you for 30 years, died believing you were alive." Something shifted in those eyes. Pain. Memory. "Mother, she never stopped loving you." Warren's 4 hands clenched, unclenched. "Hungry, so hungry." "I know." Grace lowered the gun, but not for blood, for rest, for peace. She reached into her pocket, pulled out a photograph. Patricia Hughes, young, smiling, holding a 6-year-old boy. Warren took it with one of his lower hands, gentle, so gentle. "Home," he said. Then his head turned, toward the tunnel, where Jonathan's screams had just started. Warren moved, impossible speed for something that size. Into the tunnel, toward the screams. Amy laughed. "Broken. He'll kill Jonathan. Even Jonathan can't heal from being eaten." Another scream, but not Jonathan. 7. That inhuman sound. Warren was fighting the others, protecting Jonathan. "Why?" Nathan's voice cracked. Margaret smiled through tears. "Because Grace showed him love, reminded him he was human once." The lights flickered, came back on. Full power. Nathan's phone buzzed. "FBI. We have the building surrounded. Sending tactical teams now." But there was something else. Another text, from a number he recognized. Walter Blake's real phone, the one from 1983. "Check the piano." The piano. Nathan's throat was raw. "What piano?" Grace grabbed his phone. "Read the text." Her face drained white. "The hospital chapel. Your father played there. Every Thursday night for 20 years. Wet sounds from the tunnel. Tearing. Warren's roar echoed off concrete. Not pain. Rage. Margaret's oxygen tank wheezed empty. She pulled the mask off. Gasped. "Marcus. The chapel. He hid something." FBI tactical gear thundered overhead. Boots. Dozens of them. Amy sat against the wall, cradled her shattered wrist. The child mask was gone. She looked exactly what she was, 25 years old. Dying. Broken. "They'll kill Warren," she said. "The FBI. They'll see him and shoot." "Good." Nathan spat blood. The therapy was eating him from inside. "No." Grace pulled out her phone, called someone. "Agent Rivera, Grace Sullivan. The subjects in the basement, they're victims. Don't shoot. They're children. Douglas Mills's victims." Rivera's voice crackled. "What are you talking about?" "We found bodies. They're alive. Hibernation. They're confused. Scared. Warren Hughes is protecting the others from each other. Please." Silence. Then, "We're holding position. You have 3 minutes to get them under control." Grace ended the call, looked at Nathan. "The piano? We need to get there." "I can't walk." Nathan's legs were rubber. The gene therapy was rewriting him cell by cell. Luna pressed against him, the dog's body solid, warm. Nathan grabbed her collar. Let her pull him up. Amy laughed. "Wet. You won't make it. The chapel's in the east wing, 4th floor." "Then come with us," Grace said. "Why would I?" "Because Jonathan's dying for you. The least you can do is witness what your father really left behind." Amy's face cracked. Real emotion, finally. "I can't walk either. Wrists broken. Progeria's accelerating." Margaret rolled her wheelchair to Amy. "Get in. There's no room." Margaret stood, shaking, dying, but standing. "Take it." Amy crawled into the wheelchair. Margaret leaned on Grace. They moved. A broken parade. Nathan holding Luna. Grace supporting Margaret, Amy rolling herself with one hand. The emergency exit had no power lock, just a push bar. They stumbled into a service corridor. Fluorescent lights hummed. The walls were mint green, industrial. Elevator at the end. Nathan stabbed the button. His finger left blood on white plastic. The doors opened. Empty. They crowded in. The elevator smelled like industrial cleaner and fierce sweat. 4th floor, east wing. The doors opened on chaos. FBI agents filled the hallway, weapons drawn, pointing at something Nathan couldn't see. "Don't shoot," Grace pushed forward. "Please," Nathan saw him then. Warren. All 7 feet and 4 arms of him. He stood in front of a door marked Chapel. His body was torn. Green fluid, not blood. Something else leaked from dozens of wounds. In his upper arms, he cradled Jonathan, still breathing, barely. In his lower arms, he held 7. She wasn't moving. "Safe," Warren said. His mandible mouth clicked. "Kept them safe." Rivera stepped forward, weapon lowered but ready. "What is that thing?" "A child," Grace said. "A child Douglas Mills tortured into this." Warren's eyes found Nathan. "Piano," Father said. "Check piano." Nathan's legs gave out. Luna caught him. Somehow the dog held his weight. "My father, Walter Blake, helped us, fed us. When Douglas forgot," Warren's voice was fading. "Promised, justice, piano." Rivera made a decision. "Medical teams. Now, all of them." He looked at Warren. "We're going to help you." Warren set Jonathan and 7 down. Gentle. His 4 hands shaking. "Too late. Hibernation damage. Cellular breakdown." He looked at Amy. "You, sister." Amy's child face crumpled. "I'm not. Smell you. Same blood. Different recipe." Warren reached out one massive hand. Douglas's greatest success, his greatest failure, both. Amy took his hand with her unbroken one, small fingers in his massive grip. "Sorry," Warren said. "All of us. Sorry." His legs folded. He sat, then lay back. The green fluid pooled beneath him. "Mother," he whispered, still holding the photograph Grace had given him. "Going to Mother." His eyes closed. The heartbeat Nathan didn't know he'd been hearing stopped. Rivera's team surrounded Jonathan and 7. Medical equipment appeared. IV lines. Oxygen. Grace pulled Nathan forward. "The chapel. Now!" The door was unlocked. Inside, peace. Stained glass windows painted rainbow light on white walls. 20 pews. And at the front, a piano. Yamaha Grand. Ancient. The same model from Nathan's childhood home. Nathan approached it. His fingers traced wood worn smooth by decades of hands. "Your father played this," Grace said. "Every Thursday, for 20 years. Nathan opened the bench. Sheet music, hymns, classical pieces, and underneath, a manila envelope. His hands shook as he opened it. Inside, 237 small keys, each one labeled with a number, each one different, and a note. Walter Blake's handwriting. "Nathan, if you're reading this, you've met them. Douglas's children, his victims. These keys open safety deposit boxes, 237 boxes in 237 different banks. Each one contains evidence of a crime, but more importantly, each contains something else. Birth certificates, real ones, for all 237 children. Their real names, their real parents, their real birthdays. Douglas stole more than their bodies. He stole their identities, made them disappear. Their families think they're dead. But here's the truth. Only 37 were damaged enough to hibernate. The other 200 are living normal lives. They don't know what they are. Don't know their experiments. Amy knows about them. She plans to activate them somehow. Turn them into weapons or victims. I'm not sure which. But you can save them. These keys lead to their real identities. You can reunite them with families who still mourn them. The piano has a false bottom. Inside is the master list. Every child, every family, every crime. But be careful. Opening the piano will trigger something. Douglas built a fail-safe. I never figured out what. Your father in all the ways that mattered. Walter Blake, P. Luna knows. Dogs always know. Trust her. Nathan looked at Luna. The husky stared at the piano, growling. Don't open it, Amy said from the doorway. She dragged herself from the wheelchair. Please. Why? Because I know what the fail-safe is. She pulled out a phone. Not Eleanor's, her own. The screen showed a map. 237 red dots spread across the country. Subcutaneous triggers, in all of them. The ones living normal lives, open that piano, and they all activate. Activate how? Amy smiled, sad, broken. They'll come home, all of them, compelled. They won't know why, but they'll come, and when they get here, when they're all together, the real experiment begins. Nathan's hand hovered over the piano lid. 237 people living normal lives. 237 families about to lose their loved ones again. Unless. There's another way, Amy said. She held up a syringe, different from the others. Gold liquid inside. The antidote, not to the gene therapy, to Douglas's control. One injection, and the triggers die. All of them. They stay normal. Stay human. Stay free. What's the catch? It'll kill me, and Jonathan, and Seven, and anyone else with active Mills genetics. She looked at Nathan, including you, if the therapy hasn't finished. Nathan checked his phone. 4 minutes since the injection. 2 minutes until he was fully masked. 2 minutes to decide if 237 strangers were worth 3 lives. Amy rolled the syringe across the floor. It stopped at Nathan's feet. Your choice, cousin. Save them or save us. But choose now. Jonathan has maybe 60 seconds. Seven has less. Nathan picked up the syringe. The gold liquid caught the chapel light. Through the doorway, he could see Jonathan, chest barely moving. Seven beside him, her transparent skin showing her heart struggling, slowing. His phone buzzed. Another text from Walter Blake's phone. Check who's really sending these messages. Nathan looked at the number again. Really looked. The last digit was different. Off by 1. This wasn't Walter Blake's phone. He scrolled up. Every message, every direction, every revelation. All from a number 1 digit off from his father's. Who's been texting me? Amy's smile widened. Check the piano bench again. Under the hymns. Nathan lifted the sheet music, found another phone. Ancient Nokia. The screen showed sent messages, all to Nathan, but the phone was off. Dead battery. How? Subject 2, technopathy. He's been in the walls for 20 years, sending messages through dead phones. Amy struggled to stand. He's trying to tell you something, about the piano, about what's really inside. Nathan's hand touched the piano lid. It was warm, too warm. Something was alive inside. Nathan's palm pressed against the piano lid. Heat pulsed through wood. A rhythm. Familiar. A heartbeat. Don't. Amy crawled closer. Blood ran from her nose. The progeria was accelerating. You don't understand what he put inside. The wood vibrated. Something scratched underneath. Fingernails on mahogany. Nathan jerked back. The gold syringe rolled from his grip. Grace grabbed his shoulder. The therapy. Has it been 6 minutes? Nathan checked his phone. 5 minutes, 40 seconds. 20 seconds left. Another scratch from inside the piano. Deliberate. Patterns. Morse code. Nathan's father had taught him when he was 12. Rainy Saturday. Kitchen table. Dots and dashes tapped on wood. HELP. Someone's in there. Nathan's fingers found the lid's edge. Not someone, Amy said. Something. Subject 2 isn't just technopathic. The scratching intensified. Frantic now. PLEASE. Luna barked. Once. Sharp. Her teeth caught Nathan's sleeve. Pulled him back. The piano lid bulged. Wood cracked. A line split down the center. Something pressed through. Not a hand. Too small. Too many joints. An eye. Human eye. Brown iris. Dilated pupil. Growing from what should have been a finger. Nathan's stomach emptied. Bile and black therapy residue splattered chapel floor. The eye blinked, focused on him. A tear rolled down what should have been a knuckle. More cracks. The lid split wider. Another appendage pushed through. An ear. Perfect human ear. Growing from what might have been a wrist. Subject 2, Amy whispered. Douglas tried to enhance sensory perception. Gave him organs that could grow anywhere. See from any surface. Hear through any appendage. The ear turned, oriented toward Amy's voice. More Morse code. Scratched from inside. MYSISTERHELP. He knows you. Nathan's voice cracked. Amy nodded. We all know each other. The conscious ones. The ones who remember. Grace dropped to her knees beside the piano. What's your name? The scratching stopped. Then, slowly, MICHAEL. Michael, what? ROSS. Grace pulled out her notebook, flipped through pages, found it. Michael Ross, taken 1987. Age 4. Parents died in a car accident. No relatives. The eye on the finger closed. Another tear. NOTDEADOUGLASKILLED. Nathan's phone showed 6 minutes. The therapy was complete. He grabbed the piano lid, pulled. It wouldn't budge. Metal locks. Electronic. Keypad. Amy pointed. Hidden in the piano's side. 10-digit code. The eye opened. Looked at Nathan. Blinked in a pattern. 10 blinks. Pause. 15 blinks. Pause. 19 blinks. Pause. 8 blinks. Pause. 3 blinks. October 15th, 1983. Nathan's fingers shook as he entered it. The day my father died. The locks clicked. The lid lifted. Michael Ross lay curled in fetal position where piano strings should have been. 5 feet tall, maybe 90 pounds. His body was covered in sensory organs. Eyes along his spine, ears on his shoulders, nostrils on his palms. But his face, his actual face, was smooth. No eyes, no nose, no mouth, just smooth skin where features should have been. He sat up, the eyes along his arms focused on Nathan. His palm nostril inhaled, tasting Nathan's scent. Michael's chest moved, speaking, but no sound, no mouth to make it. He's trying to tell you something, Grace said. Michael's finger eye looked at Amy, then at the gold syringe, then at the door where Jonathan was dying. His hand moved. Sign language, but wrong. Too many joints, too many fingers. The movements hurt to watch. Amy translated. He says the syringe won't kill us. Douglas lied about that too. It'll cure us. Cure, make us human, fully human. Remove the modifications. Her voice broke. But we won't survive the transition. Our bodies are too dependent on the mutations. Michael signed frantically. He says there's another way. Subject 0. Nathan's blood chilled. There's one before Subject 1. Michael nodded, pointed down, Basement, lower than the morgue level. Douglas's first success, Amy said. From 1961. Before he knew what he was doing. Before he understood the cost. Rivera appeared in the doorway. We need to move. The building's being evacuated. Something's happening in the sub-basement. What kind of something? Seismic activity, but localized. Like something big is moving down there. Michael scrambled out of the piano. His movements were spider-like. Wrong, but fast. He grabbed the gold syringe, held it out to Nathan, then signed something that made Amy gasp. What? Nathan demanded. He says Subject Zero isn't a failed experiment. Amy's face was white. Subject Zero is Douglas Mills, the real Douglas Mills. The phone in Nathan's pocket, the one receiving impossible texts, buzzed. The Douglas you knew was a clone. Subject Zero created him, created all of this. And now that the clone is dead, Zero is waking up. The building shook. Dust fell from the chapel ceiling. 60 years, Amy whispered. He's been down there 60 years. Evolving. Michael signed urgently, pointed at the syringe, at Amy, at the door. He says inject me. The cure will create a pheromone burst. Draw Zero to us instead of... Amy's eyes went wide. The children. The 237. They're not coming here. Zero is going to them. Nathan looked at the map on Amy's phone. The red dots were moving. All of them. But not toward Albany. Away from it. Fast. Like they were running. They feel him waking, Amy said. Genetic memory. They know what he is. Another tremor. Stronger. The piano slid across the floor. Michael's finger eyes all focused on Nathan. He signed one word over and over. Amy translated. Choose, choose, choose. Nathan held the syringe. Gold liquid sloshed inside. Save Amy, possibly Jonathan and Seven. Let Zero hunt 237 innocent people. Or inject nothing. Let Amy die naturally. Hope Zero couldn't leave the building. Rivera's radio crackled. Sir, we've got movement in sub-basement 3. Cameras show. Sir, you need to see this. Rivera pulled out his phone. Security footage. A corridor. Concrete walls. Emergency lighting. Something moved past the camera. Nathan only saw a part of it. Gray flesh. Wet. The size of a subway car. That's not human, Rivera said. Michael signed. Amy translated, her voice hollow. Not anymore. Hasn't been for decades. Grace grabbed Nathan's arm. The therapy worked. You don't smell like Mills anymore. You could run. What about you? I'm dying anyway. Margaret had entered, leaning on the doorframe. Cancer. 3 weeks. Maybe less. The children need someone, Grace said. If Zero gets out, they need someone who understands. Nathan looked at Luna. The dog stared back, tail low, ready. His phone buzzed. Another impossible text. But this time, he saw the sender. Michael's hand, pressed against Nathan's pocket, somehow sending signals through dead circuitry. The message, piano has false bottom. Walter Blake hid more than keys. Nathan went back to the piano, felt along the bottom, found a latch, pulled. A compartment opened, inside a single vial, clear liquid, and a note. For my son, when the time comes, you'll know. Nathan held it up to the light. The liquid had weight, density, like mercury, but clear. Michael's eyes, all of them, went wide. He signed frantically. Subject Omega, Amy breathed. The theoretical cure, not for the modifications, for the source. Douglas, his original DNA, before the experiments, before Zero. She grabbed Nathan's hand. That could kill Zero, or cure him, make him human again. Another tremor. The lights flickered. Rivera's radio. "It's moving up. Whatever it is, it's coming up." Nathan looked at the two syringes, gold in one hand, clear in the other. Michael signed. Amy translated. "He says you have to choose now. Zero will be here in 90 seconds. Through the floor." Nathan felt it. Vibrations. Getting stronger. Something vast was rising. Something that had been Douglas Mills 60 years ago. Something that had been planning this moment since before Nathan was born. The chapel windows cracked. Spiderweb fractures spreading through stained glass. Luna howled. Long. Mournful. A sound Nathan had never heard a dog make. Then the floor exploded. Concrete erupted. Chunks of floor spinning upward. Nathan's knees buckled from the impact wave. The clear syringe flew from his hand, rolled toward the collapsing floor. Through the hole, gray flesh pushed upward. Not skin. Something between muscle and mucus. It pulsed. Each pulse brought more mass through the opening. The smell hit. Formaldehyde mixed with rotting fruit. Nathan's eyes streamed. His throat closed. Rivera fired. 3 shots. The bullets entered the gray mass with wet sounds. No effect. The flesh absorbed them. More of it pushed through. Nathan saw structures within the translucent tissue. Bones. But wrong. Too many joints, arranged in spirals, and deeper. Something that might have been organs. Or eyes. Hundreds of them. All looking in different directions. Michael's hand pressed against Nathan's arm. Sending. The phone in Nathan's pocket buzzed with impossible text. The clear syringe. Get it. Nathan dropped. Crawled. His hand reached for the vial. The floor tilted. His fingers missed. The gray mass formed something like a head. No face. Just a depression where a mouth might be. The depression opened. Inside teeth. Human teeth. Hundreds. In perfect rows like piano keys. "Douglas." Amy's voice was flat. "Grandfather." The teeth moved, trying to form words. The sound that came out was wind through a cave. But underneath, Nathan heard it. "Amy." "My perfect girl." The mass contracted, pushed more of itself through the floor. A shape formed, almost humanoid. 7 feet, 8, 9, arms that split into more arms. Each finger was a smaller hand with its own fingers. Rivera's team opened fire. Automatic weapons. The bullets disappeared into gray flesh. Zero absorbed them all. "Conventional weapons won't work." Amy crawled toward the thing that had been her grandfather. "He's not solid anymore." Distributed consciousness. The clear syringe rolled against the wall. Nathan lunged. His fingers closed around glass. Zero's attention shifted. Those 100 eyes inside the translucent flesh, all focused on Nathan. "Blake's son." The teeth voice was clearer now. "The failed bloodline." An appendage shot out. Too fast. Wrapped around Nathan's ankle. The touch burned. Acid or digestive enzymes. Nathan's shoe dissolved. Sock gone. Skin blistering. Luna's teeth found the appendage. Bit down. Her mouth smoked. The dog didn't let go. Zero contracted. Luna flew across the room. Hit the wall. Slid down. Didn't move. "No!" Nathan tried to stand. The burned ankle wouldn't hold weight. Michael moved. Spider quick. His wrong-jointed limbs carried him up Zero's mass. The eyes along his spine focused on something inside the gray flesh. A darker mass, size of a baseball. Michael's finger plunged in. Zero screamed. Not from the teeth mouth, from everywhere. The windows shattered. Everyone dropped. Hands over ears. Michael pulled something out. A node, pulsing. He bit it with a mouth that opened in his palm. Zero contracted. Violent. Michael flew off. Hit the piano. The instrument exploded. Wood and wire everywhere. Grace was at Nathan's side. "The syringe. You have to inject him." How he's not solid. The node. Michael found a node. There are more. She pointed. Nathan saw them. Darker masses within the gray. 12, maybe 15, spread throughout Zero's mass. Amy laughed. Blood ran from her nose and ears. Neural clusters. He distributed his brain. You'd have to inject them all. Nathan looked at the syringe. Maybe 2 milliliters of clear fluid. Zero's mass shifted, formed something like legs, stood. The ceiling cracked. 10 feet tall now. Growing. Where are the children? Zero's teeth mouth directed at Amy. My children, all 237. Amy held up her phone. Showed the map. The red dots were scattering. Random directions. Running from you. They can't run. I made them. They're mine. You made them wrong. Amy coughed blood. Like me. Like all of us. Broken toys. Zero moved toward her. You were perfect. My greatest success. I'm dying. Progeria. 25 years old and dying. I can fix you. Absorb you. Make you part of me. An appendage reached for Amy. She didn't move. Couldn't. Jonathan appeared in the doorway. Walking, impossible. He'd been dying 60 seconds ago, but walking. 7 beside him, both moving wrong, puppet-like. No, something was carrying them. Warren, subject 1. He'd seemed dead, but his 4 arms held Jonathan and 7. Green fluid leaked from his wounds with each step. Father, Warren said to Zero. Zero's mass rippled. 1, my first success. Failed success. Warren set Jonathan and 7 down. Gentle. Look at us. All of us. What you made. Warren stepped forward. His 4 arms spread wide. Take me back. Absorb me. I'm tired. Zero's appendages wrapped around Warren, pulled him in. Warren didn't resist. The gray mass engulfed him. Then Warren screamed. Not pain, rage. His 4 arms moved inside Zero, tearing, ripping, attacking the neural nodes from inside. Zero contracted, tried to expel Warren, but Warren's hands had found purchase. He was destroying Zero from within. Now, Warren's voice from inside the mass. While I have him. Nathan stood. The burned ankle screamed. He raised the clear syringe. Michael was signing frantically. Amy translated through blood all nodes. Same time, or he'll adapt. There's not enough. 15 nodes, 2 milliliters. Grace grabbed the gold syringe. Mix them. That'll dilute or catalyze. Your father was a janitor. He understood chemistry. Grace pulled Nathan's hand. Both syringes together. Pour them together. Nathan's hands shook. He pulled the cap off the gold syringe, poured it into the clear. The liquids touched. The reaction was instant. Heat. The syringe burned Nathan's palm. The mixture turned white, expanded. 5 milliliters, 10, 20. The syringe cracked. Nathan grabbed an empty IV bag from the medical supplies, poured the expanding mixture in. It kept growing. Zero thrashed. Warren was visible inside, being digested, but still fighting, his 4 arms ripping at nodes. 7 positions, Grace counted. 7 of us who can still move. Nathan looked around. Himself, Grace, Amy, Margaret, Rivera, and Jonathan stood. Blood ran from his eyes. I can do this. 7 pushed herself up, transparent skin showing her failing organs, but standing. Michael, Grace said, we need you to mark the nodes. Michael moved. His spider limbs carried him around Zero. His finger eyes identified each neural cluster. He pressed his palms against Zero's mass, left handprints in his own blood. 15 markers. Zero's appendages whipped out, caught Michael, pulled him in. Michael didn't resist. let himself be absorbed. But his eyes, all of them, stayed focused on the marked nodes, living markers. Grace filled syringes from the IV bag, handed them out. 2 nodes each, except Nathan. He takes 3. Why? Because you're Walter Blake's son. Everything leads back to you. They surrounded Zero. The mass had stopped growing. Warren and Michael inside were slowing it, dying for it. On 3, Grace said. Zero's 100 eyes found Nathan. You don't understand. I did this for humanity. Evolution. Perfection. You did this for control. Nathan raised his syringe. 1. Grace counted. Amy dragged herself to position, her child body failing, but moving. 2. Rivera steadied his syringe. For Warren. For all of them. 3. They moved together. 7 needles into 7 positions. Nathan's first injection hit a node near what might have been Zero's heart. The reaction was instant. The gray flesh around it turned white, crystallizing. His second injection, lower, where Warren was fighting. The white spread. Warren's scream changed. Not pain, relief. Third injection, the largest node. Center mass. Zero contracted, all his mass pulling inward. The absorbed subjects. Warren. Michael were expelled. They hit the floor. Still, but breathing. The crystallization spread. Gray to white. Living tissue to mineral. Zero's teeth mouth opened. You don't know what you've... The words stopped. The mouth froze. White crystal spread across the last of the gray. In seconds, where Zero had stood, a statue remained. White, translucent, beautiful in its horror, 10 feet tall, vaguely human, frozen mid-transformation, inside the crystal, visible like insects in amber, were darker spots, the neural nodes, still pulsing, faint, slower, still alive. Amy collapsed. Nathan caught her. She weighed nothing. Bird bones and paper skin. Is he dead? She asked. Nathan looked at the crystal, at the pulsing nodes. I don't know. Rivera's radio crackled. Sir, we have a situation. The 237 subjects, they've all stopped moving. Amy's phone showed the map. The red dots were still, all of them, frozen wherever they'd been when Zero crystallized. They're connected, Amy whispered, still connected to him. Margaret rolled her wheelchair closer, reached out, touched the crystal. Her eyes rolled back. When they opened, she spoke in Douglas Mills' voice. This isn't over. I'm in all of them. Every one of my children. When this crystal breaks, and it will break, I'll be 237 instead of 1. Margaret jerked back, her own voice. He's still conscious. Still planning. Nathan looked at the IV bag, still half full of the white mixture, still expanding. We have to inject them all. Every one of the 237. Impossible, Rivera said. They're scattered across the country. Amy's phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Nathan read it, checked the piano. The destroyed piano. Nathan went to the wreckage, found what had been hidden in the false bottom. Not just the clear syringe, a device, medical, like an insulin pen, but larger. And a note, aerosol deployment, range 50 miles when dispersed at altitude. W.B. Your father knew, Grace said. He prepared for this. Nathan filled the device with the white mixture. It kept expanding. Filled the entire cartridge. Rivera, we need a helicopter. Now. But Amy was pointing at the crystal, at the nodes. They were pulsing faster. Cracks appeared in the white surface, hair thin, spreading. Zero was breaking free. The crystal shattered. Not explosion dissolution, White fragments became dust, became air. Zero's consciousness scattered into nothing. Nathan stood on the hospital roof. The helicopter blades thundered. Below, FBI agents loaded Warren and Michael into ambulances, both breathing, both human enough to save. Grace held the aerosol device. 50-mile radius won't reach them all. It will. Amy pulled up her phone, typed something. I'm calling them home. All 237. My last act as Douglas's heir. The red dots began moving, toward Albany. They'll be here in 6 hours, Amy whispered, blood on her lips. I won't see it. Nathan knelt beside her, this broken girl who'd chosen redemption. You will. The helicopter rose. Grace released the aerosol at 5,000 feet. White mist spread like forgiveness. Below, Amy died holding Nathan's hand. 25 years old. Finally free. 6 hours later, 237 people arrived in Albany. Confused, normal, human. They found Grace waiting with their real names, their real families, their real lives returned. Sometimes inheritance isn't money or property or even DNA. Sometimes it's the choice to stay when everyone else leaves. Grace Sullivan taught me that. She held my hand through the worst night of my life, just as she'd held the hands of hundreds before me. This story came from her. Though she'd never call herself a hero, she was just a night nurse with worn shoes and infinite patience. If you've ever sat alone in a hospital room at 3 a.m., you've met someone like Grace. They don't save lives with surgery or medicine. They save souls with presence, with the simple act of refusing to let anyone die alone. That's the inheritance worth passing on. This story was inspired by true events witnessed in hospital corridors. Created solely for entertainment purposes, this work does not condone, encourage, or promote any form of violence or harmful behavior. All characters and events depicted are products of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to real persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental.